Imagine 65% more. Thank you, thank you, thank you. With exceptional gifts at up to 65% off at Simon Premium Outlets, you can do up to 65% more giving this holiday. Simon Premium Outlets. Exceptional brands at up to 65% off.
This holiday at Clinton Crossing Premium Outlets, we're giving you the gift of more time. Take your time shopping our extended hours Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Shop exceptional brands like J. Crew Factory Store, Kate Spade, New York, and Under Armour at up to 65% off. Clinton Crossing Premium Outlets, a Simon Center.
You're tuning in to the Goldilocks presentation of the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show with Anthony Rodriguez. Anthony Rodriguez, aka Walking Crow, found transformational energy healing through a personal search into healing and was transformed by this experience. He made the decision to pursue training and has since become a certified energy healing practitioner with an emphasis on working with clients in recovery from addiction. His willingness to be open and listen has allowed him to be of service to many who seek a peaceful, serene, and healthier body, mind, and spirit. Call in now if you would like to speak with Anthony. The call-in number is 713-955-0332. Enjoy this transformational and healing show.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. My name's Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, and I'm your host. Happy Tuesday. Wow. And I hope everybody survived the beautiful Thanksgiving weekend. It was a long one. It was a rainy one here in Los Angeles, and it was a beautiful one. Wow, what an amazing weekend of rest and relaxation and rejuvenation and tryptophan. Yeah, we can't forget the tryptophan. Anyways, welcome to another Tuesday's show. Today we're going to be talking about the healing power of palabra, word, and how you can heal yourself and your relationships by being in your palabra, word. Palabra is the Spanish word for word, and I always use it when I'm going to begin to say something, when I'm going to speak in a meeting or in public or in some way, because once I say something, I can't take it back, and I want to be in my truth, in my word, in my palabra. So welcome to the show, and palabra, word. Wow, how do you use your word? How do you use your words? Do you use them in a good way? Do you use them to speak about yourself in a good way and to speak about others in a good way? Are you impeccable with your word, palabra? Are you impeccable with your word? That's a tough one these days. You know, we hear, especially over the last couple of years, with the political situation here in the United States and the potential new president, you know, word doesn't mean anything to a lot of those people. You know, they tell a lie and tell it as if it's the truth. And if they keep saying it over and over again, they try to make it true, and it isn't true. But America sometimes falls foolish. There are those in this country who do, and they start to believe that lie. And we saw that over the last year plus. Anyways. And when I talk about word, palabra, I have to think about the book, The Four Agreements, or The Fifth Agreement by Don Miguel Ruiz and his son, Don Jose Ruiz. And what that means of having your word be impeccable and being in your word and in your palabra. In my sweat lodge, my elders, whenever we speak, we use that word palabra, and because that's going to be truth, it's going to be our word, and like I said, we can't take it back, and we honor that, and I want to honor that. And not only do I just want to honor word palabra, but I want to honor myself with word and palabra and how it heals me. Because I grew up in a place and in schools and with people, well-meaning people who loved me, people who said they loved me, people who wanted to care about me and love me more than anything, but they used words against me, and they said things to me in a way that wasn't loving at all. And not that they didn't want to be, it's that they didn't know how to be. because that's the way they were raised. That's how they were brought up. And I'm here to break a chain. I'm here to break the pattern. I'm here to do something different. I don't have children, but when I talk to children, especially my nephews and nieces, I talk to them in a way that's good for them, that's uplifting to them, that's edifying to them and to their psyche and to their soul and to their future. To their future. I wandered around for the last 50 years, trying to find my place in this world. And I shouldn't have had to. I shouldn't have had to. I bought the package. I bought the words that people were saying to me, and I didn't know how to get out of that downward spiral. How do you when you're caught up in a tornado, how do you pull yourself out of it? How do you? And it's over time. It's over time, and it's over years. Not just time as in minutes and seconds, but time as in years and decades, and and into a new millennium of learning and changing and being and sowing new seeds and new words into one's psyche, into one's soul, into one's ear, into one's heart, into one's fire, third chakra, a whole place of fire. I am, I can, I will, I do. I'm here. My place, right here, right now. What are the seeds that I'm sowing there right now? What are the seeds that I allow you to sow there right now? I don't watch the news. I don't watch very much of it. No, I don't watch it at all. As a matter of fact, what am I saying? And on the news feeds and social media, I have a tendency to just click away and not even look at that stuff because it's so not important. A lot of people get caught up and they keep posting things over and over again, and they keep posting picture of somebody they don't like with words they don't want, they don't believe in, but they keep doing it anyways, and they keep feeding that poison to other people. If you found a bottle that said poison on it, would you drink it? With the liquid inside. Would you drink the liquid inside a bottle if it said poison on it? I imagine not. But you keep giving yourself words. We keep giving ourselves words and speaking to ourselves in ways that are detrimental to our well-being. That are detrimental to our well-being. They are detrimental to our daily lives. They're detrimental to having a full and calm and peaceful and serene soul. I have worked hard to have a peaceful and serene, and calm soul. I've worked a lifetime, 50 years. Whew, that's a long time. I'm 55. And that's a long time to have to take to get to this place. But I'm here now. And you can't have me anymore. You can't try to take me out of my place. You can't do everything in your power to knock me off my pedestal. You cannot uproot this well-grounded tree. Aho mitakiasi. I use good words to feed myself. I don't drink poison. I drink water. I drink something that's refreshing. Drink something that quenches my thirst, not that kills it. Why would I put salt in a drink when I'm thirsty? Aho. Why would I do that? Why would you do that? Can't imagine. But these are the things that we're taught growing up. These are the way we're talked to, using words like pendejo. Pendejo, it means idiot in Spanish. Stupid. You're dumb. I was called dark. I was too short. I was too fat. I had big lips. I was even used the N-word. People called me a nigger. Can you imagine that? People use the N-word to describe me, to speak to me. And they were people who loved me. I can't tell you their names because it would embarrass family, but they know who they are, and they know what they said, And I'm not those things, and neither is anybody else that those words have been used against. So here I am today, Anthony Rodriguez, walking crow, standing in my power, standing in my place, standing in my soul, in all the layers of my aura, all the layers of my Akashic memory, and the memory doesn't go away. Those things don't go away. But Anthony, if they don't go away, how do I heal over them? Well, let me tell you. You don't have to forget about them. You don't have to sweep them under a rug, and you don't have to pretend like they didn't happen. Understand and come to the awareness that those things happened and those things were said to you. But like in Alcoholics Anonymous, when an alcoholic surrenders to alcohol and stops drinking, and yes, I said An alcoholic surrenders to alcohol and stops drinking. Once he surrenders to alcohol, the alcoholic becomes empowered over alcohol. What an amazing thing. What an amazing thing. He doesn't denounce it. He understands the power that it has held over him, and now with his understanding, he gets to hold power over it. So you get to hold power over the traumas and the hurts and the wounds and the shame that was used, of words that were used against you and about you. You do not have to hide from them. You don't have to duck when somebody uses the word. You embrace the word. And one of the things that I do when people go to remind me of how I used to be when I was a kid, I say, you know what? I'm not that kid anymore. We're not going to talk about that. And please don't bring it up anymore. Thank you very much. Because people do that to hold power over you. They want to remind you so they can keep you in your place. Now, they may not be doing that consciously, but my subconscious hears you. My eyes see you. I'm he who is aware. I'm he who understands. I'm he who sees. I'm he who hears. I'm he who notices. I'm he who notices. And I have healed from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. Excuse me. I have healed from the seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. I am not hopeless. I have never been hopeless. I have been helpless, but I have always been hopeful. I've been able, that I could depend on somebody to help me heal, help me get to point B, that I could help myself, help others, and help myself to heal from a place of the words that were used against me and about me. Aho mitapiyase. Aho. All right. Welcome to Tuesday. Welcome to the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. My name is Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow. Call-in number is 713-955-0332. When you call in, don't forget to push 1 to get out of listen mode. If you need to, you can contact me through my website at sacreddrum24.weebly.com, or my email address is anthony@sacreddrummedicine.com, or you can reach out and call me at 818-442-1717. If you reach out to me through email or through my website or through my phone, you can set up a 20-minute free consultation, and we can talk about where the issues in your tissues lie and what you can do to heal from them and help yourself heal from them. All right. Wow. Palabra, word, fifth chakra, expression, communication, sound, hands, fingers, wrists, elbows, forearms, triceps, biceps, shoulders, neck, epiglottis, voice box, teeth, mouth, tongue. Oh, expression. Do you express yourself in a good way? Can you express yourself in a good way? And how is it that you've been talking about yourself for the last, how many years? We don't know. You know, sometimes we carry the messages from childhood into adulthood, and we don't know how to shake them. We don't know how to, to wag that tail. And what happens is the tail learns to wag the dog, and the tail has control over us. That's no longer the case with me. I wag my tail. I wag the tail. I'm the dog. I wag the tail. Aho. And by the way, dog medicine is loyalty. Aho. Loyalty. So if you have one or if you want one, remember that dog medicine is loyalty. So I don't wag the dog wags the tail. I'm just saying. All right. So, give us a call, 713-955-0332. Push 1 to get out of listen mode. And let me know what you have to say if you want a chakra reading, or if you want to talk about me doing a long-distance healing for you, I can do that. How do you want to heal? How do you want to heal using your voice? How do you want to heal by changing your words? Changing your words, how simple is that? When I first started as an energy healer, I didn't know that was going to be my biggest challenge. I didn't even know what my biggest challenge was going to be. But I know that word, palabra, expression was my biggest challenge, because I was always told to be quiet. I was always told to go to another room. I was always told that children should be seen and not heard. How many of you were told that? I hope. I was told that. Be quiet. Shut up. those kind of words. Who talks to people like that? Who talks to their kids that way? Who talks to their grandkids that way? Who talks to their students that way? Who talks to their congregation that way? Yeah, church, Catholic parochial schools, they were tough. Whew. Thank God for radio. They taught me to be quiet, but they also taught me how to speak. They also taught me that I had a voice. All right. And I have stepped into mine. How can you step into yours? Do you want to step into yours? Do you want to be able to talk to your wife and say, honey, I feel this is wrong, or I feel this is right, or I just wanted to tell you because I haven't been able to tell you for a few years that I love you, and I really do, even though it doesn't seem like it. Or maybe your wife wants to have a conversation with her husband, say the same thing. Honey, I miss you. You come home late, you leave early, and I miss you, and I wish you were home with me more often. Sometimes women don't say that. Sometimes men don't say that. We don't use our word. We don't use our palabra. My wife and I found that out, how important it was. We thought when we were communicating, when we weren't. And we were the example to those who take our workshops. We would teach chakra workshops. We teach them one at a time. Root, connection, fire, heart, voice, expression, third eye, knowing, crown chakra. And we would teach these workshops, and we had a great following, and over time, and by the way, for a year we just taught the fifth chakra, the expression, a whole, and how quickly we forget, how quickly we forget that we need to speak to one another, and we need to speak in communication and be in communication and express what we feel to each other, even when it's uncomfortable. It's when we're uncomfortable when we need to speak most, not when we're happiest. Because when we're happiest is probably when we're wearing the mask and pretending like nothing's wrong, and that's when we should be speaking. Yeah. What is it you have to say, and how is it that you want to say it? I see people. I use social media as an example because I use social media for my marketing and my practice, and I see people who always type in caps, and they don't know protocol, or they're always yelling. I don't know which one it is, and I'm guessing that they don't know protocol. One time I told my wife this the other day. Years ago, I worked for a company out at Water Village here in Los Angeles, and I was dissatisfied with one of my vendors because I was a buyer. So I sent that vendor an email, and that vendor forwarded that email to my boss. And that was the last time I ever sent an angry email, because one never knows how we come across when we're typing or printing, because we can't hear the voice or the inflections of the voice. But boy, when it comes across, it can come across strong and really nasty, and there can be a lot of misunderstanding. And what I want to do is avoid any misunderstanding that you may have about what I'm saying, and that I may have about what you're saying. And many a times with my wife and I, that we would be texting back and forth, and we came to that crossroads. And it was a train wreck, And who needs that? Who needs the drama? Who needs to be saying I'm sorry all the time, feeling like all you do is make a mistake? I don't want to do that. I live a lifetime that way, and my wife loves me, and she loves me for all that I am, parts of who I am, and that's pretty awesome, She just sent me a text the other day, because I was not so nice with my words, or maybe my delivery wasn't so nice, and we didn't have a bad intention, but it was just the way it came out. And she reminded me that she doesn't like it, and it affects her, and I have to honor that. And when I honor that, when I honor her words, and I listen to what she says to me about the way I speak to her, and I honor it, I honor myself. I honor myself, and I get to say, Anthony, get to try harder. And I'm willing to try harder. I'm willing to try harder for things that matter. I'm willing to try harder for things that make a difference, not only for me, but for you. Because I know if I try harder with my words, and I try harder with what I have to say and how I say it, that I'm going to have a good experience with you and vice versa. At least that's my prayer. That's my wish. That's my thought. You know, I want to have a good experience with you, and I would like you to have a good experience with me. How do I use my words? You know, word, palabra. You know, I go to a 12-step meeting, and anytime I raise up my hand and I have something to say, the first thing I do is say palabra. I say it in Spanish, not in English, because I don't care if they understand it, what it means or not. I have to understand what it means. So I say palabra, exclamation points, and I sit quietly for a second or two, and then I begin to speak. You know, and I know that elders in nations across the United States do the same thing. They say word. They stop. They think. They get quiet before they speak, and then they continue on. You know, how has using wrong words or words that don't praise yourself affect you? You know, whenever you say, "Oh man, I made a mistake," you know, well, did you make a mistake? Are there mistakes? You know, maybe we didn't make a right decision. You know, it's a softer tone. Maybe I didn't make the right decision. Let me see, what could I have done different? You know, not everything is wrong. You know, and why does it have to be wrong? Not everything is right. But you know, it just is. It's like energy. There's good. You know, people say there's good energies and there's bad energies. And my elder Mazzawali, Hector Herrera, he says, you know, there are no good or bad energies. They're just energies. They're just different energies. And I like that. You know, I don't want to like to use wrong. What is wrong? What does wrong mean? You know, why would it have to be wrong? And when I say that, I talk about that. I think about, again, one more time, you know, Don Miguel Ruiz, the fifth agreement and the four agreements, you know, where they talk about, you know, the symbolism of wrong. And there is no wrong. There is no right. They're just symbols. They're just symbols that man has created for control, you know, to identify something. Well, it can be identified in any way. And I have a choice to identify something in the way that I choose, not in the way that I've been domesticated to choose. Yes, I said domesticated. And you know, I use that term because we all have been domesticated. We all have gone to school. We all sat down, stood by the desk, and we were told to sit down. We were told to stand up. And in our case, in my case, in the parochial school, kneel down, stand up, sit down, say your name, raise your hand, put your hand down. When the bell rings, you get up. When the bell rings, you get in line. When the bell rings, you eat. You know, they domesticate us like animals, and we pretend like we're human. And we're the only thing that separates us from the animals is we have thumbs, and we think we know something. You know, and sometimes I wish I was a wolf. Sometimes I wish I was a bird. I am bird. I'm walking crow. I hope. You know, and I wouldn't have to make the decisions that I have to make because of the symbols that I've been taught. And thank you, Don Miguel Ruiz and Don Jose Ruiz, for reminding me. Because I'm reading the book right now, A Practical Guide to Self-Mastery. And self-mastery isn't easy. Self-mastery of the tongue isn't easy. The Bible talks about it. You know, the Bible talks about it. You know, as a man thinketh, as a man speaketh, so he is. As a man speaketh, so he is. You know, what is it that I say about myself? What is it that I'm going to say about you? What is it? And it begins with a thought. What am I thinking? Why am I thinking this? Where did this come from? You know, sometimes it's just good to take a back seat or to step out of my own fishbowl and stand outside and look in and say, man, what's going on? What is going on? Why am I at this place? Why am I dropping F-bombs for the last 2 days? Because that happens to me. All of a sudden, for days in a row, I'm dropping F-bombs. I'm like, where did that come from? You know, why am I doing that? Why am I speaking that way? Well, that's part of the way I was domesticated as a teenager, as a young man. I heard that kind of language all the time, and for some reason I felt it was okay to use that. Is it okay to use that? Maybe. But there's a better way to speak. There's a better symbology, better symbol to use than that, you know. 713-955-0332 is the dial-in number. Push one to get out of listen mode. Today we're talking about the healing power of palabra, word, and how you can heal yourself and relationships by being in your palabra, word, by being in your word, by being in your palabra, being in your tongue, being in your speak, being in your expression. What power there are in words, you know. I know when, you know, I post something, I post quotes all the time, and I get a lot of likes on Facebook, you know, because of the quotes that I post, and that makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm doing something, like I have something to offer. What do you have to offer? Not just to other people, but to yourself. Because when I post those things, most of the times I post them for myself, because how am I feeling at 6 o'clock in the morning when I get up and I sit down to have my coffee, I sit down to meditate, I sit down to sit still, and for the month of November, I'm posting these posts of gratitude and every day, and how is it that I'm feeling? How is it that I woke up feeling? How is it that I went to bed feeling? What's going on in my life that's stirring in my soul, that's stirring in my mind, that's stirring in my voice? What am I feeling at the present moment? And how can I express it in a way of gratitude? You know, I believe this morning it was letting go. Gratitude was letting go to the whispering wind. You know, letting go to the whispering wind. Let the wind carry my burdens, my pains, my hurts, my shame. You know, let the whispering wind carry it away. Carry it into the storm, another storm. And I don't have to live in a storm. I don't have to live in the drama of what those things are. You know, I just don't have to. So, you know, what is it and how is it that you want to express yourself in a new way? You know? And do you really want to? But first of all, do you even notice the way you talk to yourself, the way you speak to yourself, your self-speak? When I started as an energy healer, I noticed that. I noticed that I had to change the way, it's funny, the fifth chakra. I had to change two things. What I put in my mouth to nourish my body, and what came out of my mouth that was hopefully nourishing something else, the world around me. And I realized that what was coming out of my mouth didn't match what was going into my body and through my mouth. And I think it should. I think that it should be nourishing. I think that it should be green. I think that it should be fresh. I think that it should be healthy. I think that it should be uplifting, you know, that it should be good fuel for the world around me, good fuel, food going in for the world inside of me. You know, I think they should match each other. And that's just my thought. That's just my belief. Nobody taught me that. It's just what I feel, what I think, and I'm saying it right here, right now, because I'm standing here in my power as Anthony Rodriguez walking Crow, Aho. And you're listening to the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. 713-955-0332. Feel free to call in. We're going to be going to a commercial at the half hour, and after that, we'll look forward to taking some calls. But today, we're talking about, healing power of palabra, word, and how you can heal yourself in relationships by being in your palabra, by being in your word, by being impeccable with your word. How do you want to speak to people? How do you want to be heard? How do you want to be understood? Do you understand yourself? Do you have an understanding of yourself? Do you have an understanding of why you use the words you use? Now, I have an old friend from high school, and God bless her. She's a lovely person. She's always been a lovely person. But I don't know what happened to her. And every time I see her words out in the ether. It's always a complaint. It's always a complains about somebody else and what's wrong and everything's wrong and nothing's right. And I'm like, man, am I glad I'm not her? Because that's a hard way to live. But I lived that way, and I did that. And I don't want to do that anymore. I don't have to live that way. I'm going to give myself good words, and I'm going to try to let those words carry over, in, not just into my life, but in your life, and the lives of the people around me, my family, my wife, my stepkids, my place of business where I work, my clients. 713-955-0332 is the call-in number. This is the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. My name is Anthony Rodriguez, and I'm Walking Crow. And we're going to go to a commercial break, and we'll talk to you in a minute. All right? Thank you.
Goldilocks Productions is home to the most gifted and talented holistic professionals. Goldilocks Productions presents holistic, spiritual, and metaphysical radio shows that are insightful, inspirational, and healing. Do you have a business in the holistic healing, metaphysical, or spiritual market? Would you like to have your own weekly, 1-hour radio or TV show? Goldilocks Productions will produce your own live or pre-recorded internet or radio show. For more information, visit the Goldilocks Productions website. That's GoldillocksProductionsCT.com. And that's Goldilocks with a Y, GOLDYLOCKS, Goldilocks Productions CT, CT for Connecticut.com. Once again, that's Goldilocks Productions CT.com. And be sure to visit the Goldilocks Productions channel on Blog Talk Radio and Ustream.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Goldilocks Productions provides professional internet, TV, and radio shows in the spiritual and New Age genre.
Well, all right, we're back. And one of the things that I want to talk about today is an event that I am doing at the Parliament of World Religions in Yoga in Yucca Valley on December 11th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I'll be there. And I'm going to be giving a talk on shamanic drumming. That is Sunday, December 11th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Yucca Mesa Community Center at 3133 Balsa Avenue in Yucca Valley, California. And that should be an amazing event. I just happened to be out there placing business cards in place, and they saw them and called me like the next day. And I was really thankful for that they did that. Also on the 11th at 5 o'clock in the afternoon out in Santa Clarita. And if you're not from LA, it's tough to tell you where that is, but it's north of LA. Insights with Audrey and myself, we're going to be doing a healing energies and spiritual enlightenment that brings that will lead you into the full moon intention and blessings and prosperity and ceremony. I'm going to be doing shamanic drumming, and we'll be journeying that day. But after that, we'll be doing some teaching and on the medicine wheel and how it relates. The medicine wheel relates to the chakra system, and that is going to be once again December 11th from 5 to 9 p.m. at 19141 Dry Cliff Street, Canyon Country, California. And tickets are available. It's $40 a person, and it's going to be an amazing evening. We're going to have food and snacks and that sort of thing there. So come on out and learn something and journey with us, and meet new people, meet and have a new experience, and be with us in a way that's beautiful and good, and that allows you to be in your own medicine and with the medicine of others. There's so much to learn, and that's one of the things that I learn every time we do an event, that there's just so much to learn. All right, 713-955-0332 is a call-in number. Push when to get out of listen mode. This is the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show, and my name is Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow. Aho! And today we're talking about palabra, word, and how you can heal yourself and relationships by being in your word, by being in your palabra, in your truth, being impeccable with your word. And I know that being impeccable with your word isn't easy, because it would mean having to uncovering and discovering years and years and a lifetime, decades of teaching that really wasn't healthy, And if you could protect yourself from that over the years, and you didn't grow up that way, God bless you, because there's a lot of us that just, boy, oh boy, we had to grow up in a way with words that were just like devastating. And sometimes people go to the extreme. Like when I was a kid, we used to joke about race and stuff, and it was funny, and it was hopefully harmless. And over the years, people, and I remember all those comedians and guys that told those jokes, and they were humorous in that way. The Richard Pryors and the Jackie Gleasons and the George Burnses and all those guys. They were just funny. And people got really sensitive, and it became socially unacceptable to tell certain kind of jokes, and then people got angry. It's like all the fun was taken out of life, I felt. But I had to learn in and of myself how to speak to myself and others in a different way. There's a way to be funny without having to be insulting. That's one of the things I had to learn. I just finished talking about growing up and being insulted my whole life, and by well-meaning people, and and I guess I was one of those growing up. I was speaking what I was learning. Was it funny? Yeah. Was it at the expense of somebody else? Probably. I want to be able to laugh with you, not at you. It's maybe a healthier way to go about things. And that's energy that I want to put out there today. So I'm going to ask everybody to just put their feet on the floor, put their hands on their knees, on their thighs, above their knees, and close your eyes. And I'm going to ask you to take a breath. Hold it and notice where it lands in your body, where it goes to, where you feel it in your body. I just happen to feel mine in my third chakra, to the right of center of my third chakra, of my fire, my fuego, my self-esteem. I can, I will, I do, I am, to the right, which means I'm giving. I'm giving from my power. I'm giving from my place. I'm standing in my power and giving and speaking of my truth without embarrassment, without shame, without having to shrink to anybody. Shrink to anybody. I spend a lifetime shrinking to people and to expectations, spoken or unspoken. I hope. And I talk a lot about the spoken and unspoken expectation, because we sometimes ignore that. We sometimes ignore the fact that there is expectation out there from people, and it's unspoken. It's one thing when they tell us and they bash us with it. It's a whole other thing. What's an unspoken expectation, and we're supposed to know what they're thinking, because don't you know? No. Yeah, and I don't know unless you tell me. I don't know unless you communicate with me. You don't know unless I tell you. You don't know unless I communicate with you. What is it I want you to know? What is it I think you should know? What is it that I want you to know about me that's important for you to get along with me, for me to get along with you? And I'm going to tell you, one of the things for me, and I said this to my wife when we started dating, whatever you do, don't ignore me. Please don't ignore me. I was ignored as a child. Do not ignore me, because if you ignore me, you'll lose. I'll check out and you'll lose. And I tell you up front, you know. And when you do it, and when I call people on it, they say, "Well, no, I wasn't. I'm looking at you and I'm hearing you, and not hearing you. You're not. I asked you a question. You didn't hear me, or if you didn't hear me, you just chose to not acknowledge me. That's ignoring. And you know, and I don't want those kind of people in my life. Sorry, you know, I'm here to heal my life. I'm not here to heal your life unless you come to me for that. You know, I'm here to heal the way that I live. I'm here to heal the way that I feel. I am here to heal the way that I think, that I speak, that I am. I'm here to heal my being. I'm here to heal my auric field, and all those things that are in it, and all those things that fell on me in a way that were sometimes devastating. You know, sometimes those things fall heavy. You know, you ever put a ornament at Christmas time on a branch that's the ornament's too heavy for the branch, and what happens to it? It starts to droop. It starts to fall. Well, that's what happens when things fall on me in a way that I'm either shamed or hurt by. You know, it's that ornament that just hangs too heavy, and you know, and I don't want that for me. I don't want that for you, because it's going to separate me from you. You know, if you hang it on the tree, on the branch, and it's too heavy and it falls off, it's separate from the tree. I do not want to be separate from you. I do not want my word or your word to be separate from either of us. I want to be one, a whole. I want to be in communication with you. I want to be able to transform with you, to transition, to transmute, transcend the things that we grew up with, transcend the things that we no longer need in our lives to get by. Transcend the things that I no longer need people to say to me, or they feel they have a need to say to me because they can. And they'll hold my feet to a fire because they think they hold power over me. No one holds power over me but me. You know, how is it I'm willing to look at those symbols? The symbol of stupid, the symbol of dumb, the symbol of black, the symbol of fat, the symbol of short, you know, too dark, those symbols. And how long am I willing to look at those things and hold on to them? And I let go of those things. You know, I let go of those things. You know, and you might say, well, you're talking about it, so how do you let go of it? No, it's talking about it and letting go, not holding on to them, are two different things. I talk about them in a way that you would understand that you can too. You can let go of those things too. You can heal from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body and intention, you know, and voice, word, palabra of others that wasn't healthy, that wasn't good for you, that wasn't meaningful, you know, that wasn't impeccable. So I like to think of myself in an impeccable way. And when somebody praises me, you know, I own that. I was talking to somebody, Mar Shingle. I was talking to Mar Shingle, and she was asking me one day about this radio show, Sacred Drum Medicine Show, Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. And she says, I bet you're good at that. And I said, you know, I am. You know, because I didn't know that I could talk this long about things that I know about. You know, I was always told that I was dumb, that I didn't know anything, and nobody wanted to hear what I had to say. And the fact of the matter is, I still don't know if people want to hear what I have to say, but I know that I have a lot to say because there's a lot of healing behind it, and a lot of people can heal if I do speak, if I do say, if I do share the experience, because there's a lot of Me Too's out there. I say that all the time. You too, me too. And it's just about relating to the issue in the tissue of the word, of the palabra, and the intention of it. You know, how do you relate to me? And what is it to hear me say? You know, that you understand exactly what I'm talking about when I share an experience and you start to cry. And I start to cry. Last week's show. Oh, I was in a tub of water here, teardrops, because I was just deeply affected by last week's subject, by last week's experiences, the experience from the last few months, and they all came out on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time, and it all bled out of me. You know, I don't know if anybody out in the audience heard it, but boy, I was just feeling it. I was in my heart, you know, I was in my soul, I was in my, and sometimes in the wounding of it. But more than anything, I was in the recovery of those things that have happened over the last month. You know, it becomes hard sometimes. And boy, you know, and you know, and I'm understating when I talk about Jesus, and he's in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he says, Father, if you could lift this burden from me. boy do I understand that. I mean, I wasn't going to be hammered to a cross like he was, but you know, boy, there's things that I would rather not go through. But if I don't go through them, how do I learn? You know, this morning I was out and I met a young lady who works in a juice place, an organic juice place in Hollywood. We were on Cahuenga and Sunset, and we were talking, and she asked me if I would speak at their place. But we were talking about, I gave her a acorn that I had in my pocket. I didn't have it in my pocket. I carry them around in my car, and I give them to people, you know, because I use them as a teaching tool. And the acorn, in and of itself, when it falls from the mighty oak, it falls to the ground, and sometimes it's green. Most times it's green when it falls to the ground. And something interesting about that acorn is that it will not grow. A mighty oak will not grow from a green acorn. The mighty oak only grows from a dry, dead acorn. That's where it's going to sprout. And you know, and I'm going to use Jesus as an example, as Savior, if you will. You know, and you know, this isn't a show by religion. This is just an example I'm using. Jesus had to die to transform, to ascend, to become an ascended master. That was the route, the path that was set for him. And that's the story that's told, that what he had to do to ascend, for not just for himself, but for us, if you believe that story, but for us. The same with us. You know, we have to die in and of ourselves and let go of those things of old, and let those things die, and let those words fall away. The words that we use about ourselves, the way that we speak about ourselves, the way that we're willing to listen to other people express themselves about ourselves. You know, we need to let those things die because they no longer serve us. They don't serve me, and they can't serve me anymore. You know, I have recovered from the seemingly, in quotation, seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. You know, and I'm not even hopeless. I was helpless. Seemingly. You know, but I'm hopeful. And there's people out there to help me. People help me all the time. But I'm willing to let go. I'm willing to die. I'm willing to let those things of old, as things of a child, die, so I can become a man, a whole man. You know, a complete man. You know, a complete soul, a whole. You know, not with broken and twisted chakras, with the petals of my chakras all twisted and broken up. Because that's how I see the different parts of my soul, as the chakras, as the issues in my tissue, as my root, as my fire, as my root, as my water, as my fire, as my heart, air, lungs, as my voice, sound, ether, as my knowing, as my thought, and as my openness to the Creator, a whole seven chakras, the universe, spirit. As my openness, I see those things in my body. I see those things in your body. And when I sit with you, I look at you. If that's what you want, if that's what you're coming to me, then I'm understanding what it is. Without you having to say a word to me, I can see it. I can see it. And then when you ask me, I'll speak, and I'll say to you what I see. I'll let you know what I understand. And sometimes you'll confirm it, and other times you'll deny it. And most times people lead with denial because they don't want to believe it's true. They want to believe that they're a different kind of person, and they probably want to be. But they're not yet. But how can I become a different person, Anthony? By letting go of the old. By letting go of the old way, the old standard, the old upbringing, the old domestication, the old self-speak. What is it you're willing to feed yourself? What kind of liquid are you willing to drink? Are you still willing to drink poison? Are you still willing to put tobacco and nicotine in your lungs and in your system because you're unwilling to speak through your fifth chakra and you fill your lungs with something that's detrimental to you? It fills your lungs with smoke? Instead of love, instead of being able to use your voice to ask for love, you're willing to give yourself that? You're willing to give yourself pot? You know, that puts you in a different state of mind because maybe you can't handle this state. And by the way, there's a lot of people, and me included, who talk about that plant, hemp, marijuana, as a sacred plant. And it is a sacred plant. But there's those who you talk about it in this is about word, palabra, use it, and who talk about it in a sacred way as a sacred plant and misuse it behind those words, behind it being sacred, but behind it being, of the earth. I hear you, but when you start smoking that and using it not to feel in your second chakra, and you fill your lungs up in your fourth chakra, your heart, your heart space, your lungs, air, and you give yourself that, what are you doing for yourself? Really? You're not kidding anybody when you do that, and you use other words to disguise it or explain it or justify it. One of the things that I don't have to do is justify anything. Freedom is not having to prove anything to anybody. And when you have to justify using those sort of materials, tobacco or alcohol, when you have to justify it, you're lying. And you're not lying to me, you're lying to yourself. Because you're not hurting me, you're hurting yourself. I'm here to help you. What is it that you want? I love you. And I will love you if you want me to, if you ask me to. I'll love you if you want me to just say, be your friend and stand by you, stand behind you, stand in front of you. I have a friend she's been my friend for 25 years already. Her name is Laura Macias. And she's an amazing woman. She's a Foley artist here in Los Angeles, and I respect her deeply. She's one of the few people in my life that I'll take a bullet for. If somebody was going to put one in her, I would throw myself in front of her, my wife included. But I would throw myself in front of my friend Laura because Laura has been a friend like no other. She says what she says. She stands by her word. And maybe sometimes she doesn't understand her word, but she stands by it and she's willing to talk to you in a way that's her truth. And I love that about her. And she's been my friend for 25 years. And I would take a bullet for her. How many people can you say that about? Really? Really? Without coming into fear or making excuses. How is it you want to heal? When is it that you're going to stop drinking poison? When is it that you're going to stop giving yourself poison? When is it that you're going to come into your word, palabra, truth? The impeccability of the way you use words for and of yourself. I know you can, and I can help you to do that. 713-955-0332 is our calling number. Push 1 to get out of listen mode. If you want to learn more about what I do as a healer, what I do as a shaman, as a medicine man, you can go to sacreddrum24.weebly.com. It's my website. It's my temporary website, but you can go there. sacreddrum24.weebly.com. If you want to have a 20-minute free consultation, you can reach me at Anthony@sacreddrummedicine.com, or you can call me personally at my business line at 818-442-1717. How do you want to heal? How do you want to speak to yourself? It's a good way. How do you want to change the things that you say to yourself and about yourself to others? This is a Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. And my name is Anthony Rodriguez Walking Crow. And whenever I say Sacred Drum Medicine Show, I always try to say Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show, because this is about transforming. This show is about transforming and how I can help you to transform. So that word and those words in that order are purposeful. I purposefully say Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. That's not a mistake, or that's just not because it looks cute, but it's because it's purposeful, and I want to give you transformation. I want to help you transform. I want to help you go from the acorn of the oak to the mighty oak and make that transformation. I want to help you go from caterpillar to chrysalis, cocoon to butterfly. I want to help you go from water to ice to water again. I want to help you go through those transitions, transformations, transmutations. I want to help you. What are the words that you want to stop using? You only have to start with one word. One word is all you need to start with. And the second word will come easy, just like taking your first steps as a child. When you were a toddler, you weren't even one, and you were already trying to walk, and your parents somebody was holding you, trying to get you to walk. And you eventually did. You eventually took the first step after wobbling on those bow-legged little chubby legs, that we had when we were babies, And I remember the faces on nephews and nieces and other children when they started to, and they would smile, and they would just burst out, like they're ready to, burst out. And I feel like that all the time. Every time I find myself changing and transitioning and transforming in a new way. And it's always in a new way, because it's a different way, because I don't know how that's going to be. I don't know how it's going to be, but it happens. I transition, and I start to take my new steps, and I start to run, and then I fall down and fall on my hands and knees, and I start to crawl again, and I'll get up and find something to crawl up on, like the couch or something, and then I'll try it again up in and on my own. You ever watch a baby do that? A child do that? I did that when I was a child. So did you. We all did, I think. What is it I want to change about my words? What is it that I want to do with that poison that I've been drinking for a lifetime? How is it that I want to dispose of that poison that I've been drinking for a lifetime, and what do I want to do with it? What are the new words that I want to use for myself? And what is it that I want to drink? What are the words that I want to drink? What do I want to give myself? What do you want to give yourself? How do you want to change? We're coming to the end of the show. It's 1:57 now. 713-955-0332. And we had no callers today, which is okay. We don't always have to have callers, and not everybody has a question to ask. Sometimes people just want to listen. And I know you're out there. I can see you listening out there. But we are coming out of Thanksgiving, the month of gratitude, the month of thanks. We're in today the new moon, the new cycle of the moon. The new moon. What is it you want to give yourself this month? What is it you want to let go of as we go from autumn to winter, direction of the woman, direction of the west, direction of autumn, letting go, direction of grandmother moon, 28-day cycle, letting go. What is it you want to let go of before we get to the solstice, the winter solstice, and move into earth, move into the north, move into buffalo, rest, Brahma, move into the center of rest, the pineal gland, on our way to spring. What is it that you want to let go of? What are the words you want to let go of? What are the words you want to stop using? What is the poison you want to stop drinking? December 24th, people will be giving gifts. If you have nothing to give yourself something. Give yourself the gift of freedom, of not having to prove anything to anybody. But give yourself the gift of freedom of letting go of the words that you've been using for a lifetime that don't serve you. That don't serve you. That's a gift in and of itself, because you're not the only one who will notice. Many will notice who you are and how you speak I hope they'll notice the new you. My name is Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, and this has been the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for being with me and blessing me again on another Tuesday, and I'd like to thank Reverend Tiffany White, Sage Woman. I want to thank her for her love and her care of all of us who have shows on Goldilocks Productions. I am so honored and so blessed, and I am so looking forward to moving into winter and into the new year with Goldilocks Productions and Reverend Tiffany White, Sage Woman. I hope. Thank you for coming. I hope. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Imagine 65% more. Thank you, thank you, thank you. With exceptional gifts at up to 65% off at Simon Premium Outlets, you can do up to 65% more giving this holiday. Simon Premium Outlets, exceptional brands at up to 65% off.
This holiday at Clinton Crossing Premium Outlets, we're giving you the gift of more time. Take your time shopping our extended hours Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Shop exceptional brands like J. Crew Factory Store, Kate Spade, New York, and Under Armour at up to 65% off. Clinton Crossing Premium Outlets, a Simon Center.